Hello students, now we are going to discuss on block 1, that is diversity and inclusion, unit 2, disability as a canvas. WHO came up with a wonderful concept of handicap where it has stated that impairment, what is this impairment? Are impairment, disability and handicap similar things? No. Impairment leads to disability, which leads to handicap. Now, what is this impairment? Impairment is a fundamental, structural, psychological or physiological deficit. Let's look at this picture. We find a little child with a club foot. Now, this is a structural deformity due to bone, which is an impairment, the impairment of the bone structure. Now, this can lead to disability. Now, what is this disability? It is a functional deficit which is experienced as a result of the impairment. Again, if you look at the picture, you will realize that a club-footed person has problems in walking the way people without club foot or with normal gait walk. So, this is creating a disability in the person in walking in a normal or in a way the other people walk. So, it is actually a functional deficit which is experienced due to the impairment in the person. Now, what is handicap? Handicap actually takes place due to societal restrictions. For example, look at this picture where a person is trying to cross the road in a wheelchair. It is easier for a person to handle a wheelchair if the level of the road is uniform. But here, what we find is that she has to climb down from a little higher position in order to handle her wheelchair. So, it is a disadvantage a person with disability experiences in various societal settings as a result of the disability. So, I feel now you can understand that impairment need not lead to a handicap. Impairment may lead to a disability which may lead to a handicap. So, impairment, if it is mild, it may not lead to a disability. But if it is severe, it leads to a severe disability. Now, what are the causes, general causes of disability? If we broadly divide it into 3 dimensions or 3 areas, first is the prenatal stage when it is before birth, when the child is in the womb of the mother, the perinatal stage or during birth, and the postnatal stage. In the prenatal stage, there are various causes which may lead to different sorts of disabilities. Now, some of the main factors are malnutrition of the mother. If the mother is malnourished, the child doesn't get enough or sufficient nutrition for the growth of its vital organs. Age of the mother. Now, this affects both ways. If the mother is below 18 or very small in age, or if the mother is above 35 years, by when there are certain hormonal imbalances in the mother which may lead to a disabled child. Besides that, there are genetic and chromosomal causes, infection of mother during pregnancy, using of drug, alcohol or tobacco by the mother, toxicity due to exposure to toxic chemicals. Now, this can also be due to the side effect of certain medicines that the mother has taken while the child was in the womb. RH factor incompatibility, mental stress of the mother. You'll realize that it is often said that the mother should be in a very good mood, she should not be stressed, because that again affects the womb as it affects the various glands in the mother, the secretion of the various glands in the mother, which affects the womb. Physical stress due to accident or fall, maternal diabetes and maternal hypertension. Now these are some of the general causes. Coming to the perinatal causes, it may be due to preterm babies, that is the babies are not there for the full term in the mother's womb. Forceps delivery, where there may be a head injury, strangulation during birth. At times during birth, the umbilical cord gets strangulated in the baby's neck, and that may lead to deficiency of oxygen in the brain. Prolonged labor, again this can lead to deficiency of oxygen. Head injury during birth. Blue baby, that is lack of oxygen to the brain. So these are some of the perinatal causes. The postnatal causes can be broadly divided into three, that is malnutrition of the child after birth, accident of the child which may affect the head, it may injure the head, it may be an accident in other organs, it may affect the bones of the child, and different diseases, viral diseases or high temperature, which may lead to some sort of disability, impairment and disability. Now let us look at the different types of disability. As you can see, these children cannot see. This man has problems with his limbs, and this little child is perfectly alright physically but has impairment in his thought process, impairment in his intellect. Let us look at the types of disability a little bit more in details. If we can broadly divide it into sensorial disability, that is when our sense organs are affected. It may be the eyes or it may be the ears. So sensorial disability, when it affects our eyes, it leads to visual impairment, and when it affects our ear, it may lead to auditory impairment. That is when we are hard of hearing or we are totally deaf. In case of visual impairment or visual disability, it can be totally blind or it may be low vision, where one can see but with a powerful spectacles or glasses. Besides this, there can be intellectual disability, or which was known as mental retardation. It is a developmental disability which is characterized by significant limitations in both intellectual functioning and adaptive behavior. What is this adaptive behavior? That is a behavior in having adjustment with the environment, behaving appropriately, age appropriately, and its onset usually occurs before 18 years of age. There are other kinds of disabilities which will be discussed later on. For example, learning disability, which can be of various types, like dyslexia, where one has problems in reading. It can be dysgraphia, when one has problems in writing. It may be dyscalculia, where one has problems with mathematics, with numbers. The other kind of disability may be locomotor disability, where one has problems in movement. It may be due to some orthopedic problem like polio, or it may also be due to cerebral palsy, where the brain is affected and which affects the movement of the person. Autism spectrum disorder, physical disorder, and also physical disability, and also multiple disability. Now, multiple disability implies one has more than one disability. So, for example, in cerebral palsy, one may have mental retardation along with problems in movement, and the picture that we saw right now with the person who has a problem with both one of his arms and one of his legs, so that is again a multiple disability. Now, disability depends on the amount of impairment that has taken place. So, it may vary from mild to severe depending on the degree of impairment that has taken place. So, what all we have discussed right now is what is the difference between impairment, disability and handicap, what are the causes, what may be the causes of all these of disability, and also what are the various types of disability, which will be discussed in detail later on. Now we are going to see a few pictures how the difference in the degree of impairment affects the child. and I hope you all will understand the difference in the disability, the vast canvas that disability covers.